That's right, family. Black power, black power. This is General Seti. You're now witnessing a mega mini, a short presentation with a whole lot of punch and power. Today we're gonna be dealing with was Nefertiti and Ahknaten Caucasians or Africans? A very powerful question. But before we get into the information, I want to let you know that you can become a member of Sarah Seti's YouTube page. The link is right down in the video description. You could click that link. You'll get a video introduction on the memberships, what they entail. If you like a membership, you should join. We appreciate your presence over here at Sarah Seti's YouTube page. Ring the alarm, kingseti.com, online marketplace, official General Sarah Seti DVDs. And at this time, we got 25% off selected items, official General Seti DVD lectures, t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, African and Kemetic jewelry, holistic tonics and remedies, home decor, and accessories for every room in the house. kingseti.com, 25% off selected items at this time. Pull the fire alarm, generalseti.com, Seti University, over 1,000 videos on African history, heritage, spirituality, nation building, advanced African academics, developing the Black nation one lesson at a time. The complete General Sarah Seti website. Get your behind in class today. Seti popping on Patreon, BPC making noise, we never calm, exclusive live streams, so hot and so far that we keep them exclusive for our family on Patreon. You should get over there. We got 185 live stream lectures that have never been seen anywhere else, and you get a chance to see the general go live when the presentations are going down. Get on over there. Make sure you subscribe to all my YouTube channels, King Seti, General Seti, Sarah Seti. Rock that notification bell. Get a video a thumbs up. Like it because you love it, and share it with your family and friends. Now let's get to the information. Was Nefertiti and Ahknaten Caucasians or Africans? That's not a hard question because I got the answer. Let's get on into it. Because they think we crazy today. They think they could steal our history right from up under us because we don't understand how to do research. We don't understand how to do research. And so when we looking at this Ahknaten thing, when we looking at the Tut, they trying to change the whole family. They trying to change the whole family. They got a reconstruction today, computer reconstruction of this supposed to be Ahknaten. This supposed to be Ahknaten. I don't know who this is, but it ain't Ahknaten. I can tell you that. See, this is the thing, because we don't understand research, and we don't understand how to gauge what is worthy of being called a source. You see, a documented source. And so we think, because you got this illusion that the white man is God, that his science is God. I'm not against science. I'm against the white man's science. Because he's when you understand proper research, you can understand that he's going against science to create all these lies. He's going against science because you don't understand. Let me run down, and I do it on every, so you'll understand. And I want you to keep banging this definition in your head on what a primary source is. And you should always use primary sources. You use secondary sources when they're true to the primary source. You see? Yeah, they're as truthful to the primary source as possible. What are primary sources? Primary sources are the raw materials of history, original documents and objects that were created at the time under study. You see, they are different from secondary sources, accounts that retell, listen to that, reanalyze, I say reanalyze, or interpret or reinterpret events, usually at a distance of time or place. So when you look at this computerized reconstruction, you got to understand that is a secondary source. It's reanalyzing, it's reinterpreting, and it is not true to the primary sources because it looks nothing like the statue of Ahknaten at the time in which he lived. It looks totally opposite of the which was created at the time in which he lived, where the artisans were looking directly at him. And today they want you to believe that they got a greater technology that could tell you how this man looked, even over someone who was an eyewitness in the time in which he lived, was looking directly at him, and he can make you believe he can create a more truthful image on what the man looked like. You's a fool, and he's a fool. Two fools. You understand what I'm saying? He's a fool to think he can fool somebody that know how to do research. And you's a fool for not knowing how to research, letting a fool fool you. You's a bigger fool. You see? To let that happen. And so now that I done showed you what nobody, unless the man can go, got a goddamn time machine, and can go back in time. And even if he did, he would have to return with the damn statues that you see today. Okay? Even if he went back in time, if he had a goddamn time machine and went back in time, he could only bring back the statues which you are already looking at behind me and that you're going to see on this presentation. That's all. He couldn't go back and get what he got. He can't go back and get that. That's some secondary garbage that they done created thousands of years. This is a retelling, a reanalyzation, and a reinterpretation of the original. Let's get into this. And so, let me get up here. Now, when we look at Nefertiti, now it's obvious because I'm going to show you the carvings of Nefertiti from ancient Egypt. Don't look nothing like this at all. I'm going to show you the majority of the carvings. And they look standard. You know, it's a standard look. So this is how she looked. When you get multiple, and plus it's a primary source, this is how she looked. This right here is not how she looked. You see? Now, when you look at the Fayum Coptic creations in Egypt during the Greco-Roman Coptic era, the Coptics are the leftover bastard children of the Greeks and Romans. When the Greeks and Romans left, you see, and went back home, and they left, they bastard children who continued to mix with more bastard children of other conquerors. You see, that became the Coptics. That's what you see down in there today. Those are not the original Africans. The original African, that people say, well, what happened to the original African? They went up the river from where they came from. They were always from up the river. When you study the research, Narmer, the first king of Egypt, came from up the river. He was from Nekhen, which Hyrcanopolis was, which is almost in Nubia. Okay, so the first king marched almost 600 miles south of today Cairo and conquered the vagabonds that were down in Lower Egypt and reunited reunited the land. When it said the two lands, you see? And so when they say the two lands, you're talking about Egypt and Ethiopia. There was no Egypt until Narmer went down there and conquered the lower region and reunited it with the south because it was already united. It needed to be reunited because vagabonds had come upon the land, but it was always our land. And so we had to come down there and liberate the land. You see, we had to, but he came from the south. That's where, so people ask, well, where did the people go? They went back up south from where they came from. Okay. And when you count the nomes of ancient Egypt, it's counting from the south down. The first nome is Taseti, which is up Aswan. You see, up in the southern region. So they counting coming down the river from the south. That's another, you don't count, you see, backwards like that. If you come from outside of Africa, the first nome would have been when you came in. It would have been in Lower Egypt, if that's where it started from. But because the Africans are coming down the river, you understand what I'm saying? They're coming down north. They're counting from the south. So the first nome is Tasseti. If they were already counting, it would have, how in the hell you gonna name Tasseti number one if you was already counting coming up the river from the north? What kind of shit is that? You would have already been establishing counties coming from the north. So how would you get, when you got down to Aswan, that would have been the last me. But because they were coming from the south down north, they started their count in the south. Wake up. God damn, this is ABCs. Sick of this shit. Let me move on. Now, when you look at on the walls in Nefertiti, you see they got this pale Neanderthal sitting up here, pale. And Nefertiti lived all of her life in Egypt. Where was she at? In a cave? How the hell you gonna live in Egypt for all your damn life and be that damn pale? See, that right there is a lie. See, they know they know they ain't got no melanin, and you just can't get in the sun and get no melanin. You can get in the sun and get skin cancer, but you can't get in the sun and get no melanin. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to put yourself in a very serious condition if you try that. So, you know, I done seen the research, and they tell Caucasians, if they go in any tropical zone, that they should wear protective clothing and all of that. Put clothing on and shit. The clothing got, levels of how it protects the skin now. Put this on, put that on. And so they know damn well that they are not original to that land. And it is no way that they could have lived in that land for as long as they say they did under that hot ass sun. It wouldn't been no evidence. And a lot of people say that. Yes, it is. They say that's not a way to tell. Yes, it is. How the hell you gonna talk? They documented all type of diseases in ancient Egypt. You mean to tell me that they documented all these diseases and had doctors for every damn disease, and this was talked about with Herodotus, and they didn't talk about skin cancer, and they would have been Caucasians, and they got all these papyruses with all these diseases and got doctors for every damn disease, and they wouldn't have had one for skin cancer? And with all them Europeans, y'all claim that the Egyptians were European, that would have been one of their number one goddamn doctors. And the hell you talking about? That would have been one of their, here it is. How could this, you see, now this recreation of Nefertiti don't look like nothing like the other ones on the wall. How could this, and this is a daughter of Ahknaten and Nefertiti. How in the hell could this European woman produce children looking like this? How is that? When you look at the founding matriarch of the 18th dynasty, because Ahknaten was, and Nefertiti was in the 18th dynasty. The founding matriarch was Almost Nefertari, black, pure blackness. And his mother, Queen T, dark brown. Okay? You can see it's so dark. She's dark brown. Okay? And so here it is, his ancestral matriarch great-grandmother and his mother, easily pure African women. And they projecting Nefertiti Ahknaten. They got this fake Ahknaten up here. How in the hell his mama look like that? Wait a minute, where it is? Where did I put it? But this is Ahknaten. How is that possible? How the hell is this African woman? How could this African woman produce something like this? You see, this is her and this Ahknaten. You see? She got this level of melanin in her skin. Now, when you look at Ahknaten, you can see that's an African man. There's no doubt about it. You see, I don't have no problem in saying that. That's an African man. When you look at his children, when you look here, this is a depiction of Nefertiti on the walls. They look like a race. They look like, that's the standard of their race. You can see they look just alike. You see, they look like a race supposed to look in uniformity. You see melanin. You see they got big lips. Yeah, they're big African, beautiful African lips. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You see what I'm saying? That's beauty. You see? So they look African as a family. You see? And so when you look at the statues and these are primary sources, they look like that woman on the wall looked like she could be the mother of this statue to the right. They say that's a daughter of Ahknaten and Nefertiti. It looks like her and Ahknaten. Okay, but what is this? How the hell could this African woman be the mother of this created creature right here? This Serapis. When you look at Ahknaten and you look at his daughters, it looked just like him. It looked like him. They favor. You see, which a daughter or it should favor her father and her mother. And so she favors Nefertiti and Ahknaten. Again, looking at Nefertiti on the wall looking at her children. Now, here's another depiction. It looks standard to the other carving on the wall, showing her with melanin, which you expect from a woman who's lived all her life in Egypt. It is no way you gonna live your whole life in Egypt and be white. That's just, what level of competence as a researcher and a scholar, what level of competence, are you on to think that people is gonna fall for such a lie, such as a white person living in Egypt and staying white? Okay, at least depict them red. You see, now here you can see some of the traditions of Africa, because when you look at the headdress, many times headdress reflect the hairstyle. You see what I'm saying? If you see a roster, you see if they got dreads, they have the bag on their head. If they got short waves, and they'll have a do-rag on their head. You see what I'm saying? And so, many times your hair, your wrap or whatever, or your headdress is going to, depend on the hairstyle. You see what I'm saying? And so many of the crowns and were based on the hairstyle of the king and the queen. You see, and so you see that the traditions carry. You can't show these traditions in no European culture. Show it. Where did it go? People are asking, well, where did the Africans go? Well, goddamn it, where did the traditions go in the European? You asking where the Africans, where's the fucking traditions today in the European, or the Coptics? You see, show us these traditions in the Coptics. You see, you understand, they live in, and so you see the standard look between, they got the same level of melanin, they are brown. You can see the elongated head. You see many times where they wrap the head. You see, let me show you. So these wicked recreations of Ahknaten. And so this is in the Brooklyn Museum of Nefertiti. And you can see that both Queen T and Nefertiti got the headdress of Amen on their head. You see the Ethiopian ostrich plumes of Amen on both heads. And so they said, well, that, Ahknaten banned the worship of all deities. How can that be true when Nefertiti got on the headdress of Amen with the ram horns? You see? And so again, you seeing the daughters of Ahknaten, and you can see here with Queen T, Tut, which is her grandson, that's Akhenaten, I believe, the daughter of, they all look alike, which a family's supposed to look alike. You see? Standard melanin. You in Egypt, melanin, dark melanin. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to. You ain't supposed to be in no tropical and no hot nation. And then when you're dealing with originality and you talking about indigenous, and the indigenous people would have had to have melanin from this, tropical man is never white. And Arctic man is never black. You see, from the source of origin. And so when you look at the matriarchal great grandmother of the dynasty, of the 18th dynasty, almost Nefertari is black. You see, and that's his ancestral, Akhenaten's ancestral great grandmother, I believe maybe 7, 8 generations back. And so you see his father, Amenhotep III, because Akhenaten's original name was Amenhotep IV. And so and so this is the great, and I may have gotten that, I should have put the 3 in there, but that's say 2. And so both his mother and his father were African. Okay, his father is actually Amos Nefertari was his ancestral great grandmother 6th generation back. Okay, and so family was Nefertiti and Ahknaten, African or Caucasian. I think I'd improve that beyond any reasonable doubt. Okay, I'd improve that beyond any reasonable doubt that they were not Caucasians and that they were African. This is General Seti's Mega Mini, a short presentation with a whole lot of punch and power. Stay tuned for another presentation coming soon. Black Power.